Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. Grab yourself a cup of tea because in today's video I'm going to have a chat to you about how I got into writing to pen pals. I know it's a kind of trend that I think is kind of gaining momentum a bit, but certainly when I got into it, gosh, like over 10 years ago, it was quite like unheard of for people to write letters. So I thought I would start obviously by telling you a little bit about my pen paling experience, and then I thought I would go on to just giving a little bit of advice so that if you're looking to write to pen pals yourself and you don't know where to start, just to give you a little bit of advice on how to get started. So as I said, I got into writing to pen pals well over 10 years ago, so I would have been about 15, so it's actually like 15 years ago now, which is crazy. I don't know where the time has gone, but yeah, that's when I started. So yeah, I was about 15, and it kind of coincided with me like getting worse with my health. So I got quite unwell, and at the time they thought I had something called ME, which is myalgic encephalitis, and I kind of had looked around a bit for information about it or people to talk to about it, and I found a charity called AIM, or AYME, which was the Association for Young People with ME. I'm not sure that it kind of exists anymore, but that's what it was back then. And I kind of joined up, and you used to get like a little magazine that came through. I can't remember if it was like every month or every 6 weeks or whatever it was. So yeah, you'd get the magazine that came through, and there was also like message boards and things like that. And I got a lot of my social interaction through that charity, because I wasn't really going into school that much, and so I wasn't really socialising with my friends sort of from school that much anymore. So yeah, I got chatting to a lot of younger people that had ME, and one of the things that they did way back then, this was way before like GDPR or anything like that, was they had a Penpal scheme, and you could, so I think you could send your details in to the charity, and they would match you up with someone that they thought would be a suitable pen pal, and you'd exchange addresses and you could start writing. And so I had a lot of time on my hands because I wasn't able to do much. I was stuck in bed a lot. And so I thought, yeah, let's give this a go. So I sent my details in, and I was matched up with a couple of people, or I can't remember whether you got matched up or whether there was like, they put like things in the magazine that you could kind of like profiles for people, and you could choose who you wanted to write to. And anyway, I ended up getting matched up with, I think it was like 2 or 3 different people, and yeah, I started writing letters to them. And it was a bit weird to start with because I had never really written letters. Like even back then, you just didn't, I don't know, you just didn't do it. You like phoned people, or you texted people, or emailed. It was very alien to be writing a letter. But yeah, I think I got like a little notebook out and started writing and saying hello and like introducing myself a bit, and I sent them off not really like knowing what to expect, and fairly quickly I started getting replies from those people, and those kind of pen pal relationships kind of began, and I started getting really into it. I started loving like that contact with other people, the post coming through my door, like actually getting something nice in the post, rather than like hospital letters or junk mail and stuff. I would actually get like a nice little letter come through. And when you're stuck in the house a lot, and you're ill a lot and stuff, having those little things to look forward to can really make a difference. So yeah, I started getting really into it, and I started to find more pen pals. At this point you could exchange your details like on the message boards and things like that. It was quite free and all that back then. Obviously it wouldn't happen now, but yeah, back then, you know, I'd get chatting to people on the message board and then be like, oh, you know, do you want to be pen pals? Do you want to write to each other? And so my kind of pen pal list was kind of growing and growing, and I spent a lot of my time at home in bed when I had the energy writing letters. And I kind of, yeah, started getting into it a bit more. I started buying sort of nice little note cards and notebooks and pens and stickers and all sorts of things to like decorate my letters with. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and like 15 years later I am still writing to pen pals. I've now got pen pals, you know, from various other places who haven't necessarily got the same illnesses as me, or, you know, have been through the same experiences with me. I've got pen pals from all over the world, and I absolutely love writing to them. I love it when the letter comes through my letterbox. I've had letters literally from all over the world: Australia, the Philippines, Germany, oh god, so many different places. And it's just so interesting to hear what other people get up to in different countries, and to hear like what their way of life's like. People will often like send little things with their letters, so whether it's stickers or tea or sweets or something like that, so you just get to experience like stuff from all over the world, which is good for me because I don't and can't travel that much. So it's my way of kind of being connected to different parts of the world without necessarily going and visiting them. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I would say I'm not like as quick with my letters now. I guess because I've got other stuff going on now, it takes me longer to sit down and write letters, but I still love doing it. I have like a big box with all my like letter writing stuff in it. And yeah, I love sitting down. It's so nice because so much stuff is like digital these days, and it's really nice to just sit down with a pen and some paper and just write. And yeah, I really enjoy it. It's a nice way to unwind, and as I said, it's so nice sort of having all these different people that you've never met but you feel like you're really close to because you know so much about them through their letters. And yeah, I absolutely love it. So that's kind of how I got into writing to pen pals, and I thought I would just give you a little bit of advice, a few tips on getting into pen pal writing if you've never done it before and you kind of like the thought of it. It's a bit daunting, I suppose, to begin with, because you just kind of think, okay, well, how do I find someone to write to? What do I write? And all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that I can kind of help a little bit with that and just give you a few pointers to get you started. So obviously the first important thing is actually finding people to write to. And yeah, that can be a bit strange because you're kind of like, where do I start? But there are a few different ways of finding pen pals. So there's different websites. I mean, if you Google like looking for pen pals, I'm sure lots of websites come up. Obviously check that they're kind of safe, as safe as possible. But a couple of sort of popular ones I've heard of are Post Crossing and Penpal World. So I will put links and everything in the description bar so that you can kind of go through and have a look at them and see what you think. But yeah, you can go on those ones and look for pen pals and get matched up and stuff like that. I think those are free as well, which is good because you don't really want to have to pay. There's also something called Post Circle, which I did once, and it's like you get put in a circle of people where you're all kind of pen pals, so you all write to each other, which I did for a bit, and I think I still write to a couple of the people, but I don't know, I guess sometimes with pen pals you'll write for a bit and then it will kind of fizzle out, whereas other ones you'll keep writing and it will carry on. So you've got to be prepared for having some failed ones, I suppose. But yeah, definitely check out those two places if you're looking. Also, a great place to find pen pals is on Instagram, if you use hashtags. So if you search for things like pen pals wanted or pen pal or pen pals or anything to do with that, you're likely to come up with people who write to pen pals or who are looking for pen pals. And I've certainly found a few people through there to write to, so it's quite good as well because you can see the kind of stuff that they post on Instagram and you can decide whether you think it's someone that you will click with and that you will enjoy writing to. So that's kind of been my preferred method to finding more people to write to. I've also got a friend called Jocelyn Redding. She writes I always thought it was a Reading residence, but I'm not sure if it's the Reading residence now because that's her surname. But anyway, I'll put the link in the description bar, but basically she is really big into pen pals and writing and bringing paper back and things like that, and she does lots of different activities and sign-ups, and a few times a year she does pen pal sign-ups, so you can kind of give your details and then she will, I think, match you up with a pen pal and stuff like that. But her blog as well is brilliant for any kind of pen pal stuff. She has just so much information and ideas and inspiration. So again, yeah, check her out in my description bar. And then also I wanted to give a mention to a charity called Penpals, which is a charity that my friend Vicky runs, and it's not your traditional pen pal, I suppose, because you're writing to someone without necessarily getting a reply. But it's basically for anybody to write to. They have like profiles of children on there who are really quite unwell, and it's an opportunity for people to send them post, whether that's letters or a little gift, or a card or anything like that. Just things that they can get through the post that will brighten their day when they're going through really difficult times with like their medical procedures and their health and things like that. So I will always big up Penpals because they do so much work and so much good for children with like really horrible illnesses who are going through a horrible time. So if you're not too bothered about receiving a reply, Penpals is definitely a good way to like write letters and feel like you're doing something good for somebody. So yeah, would definitely recommend Penpals as well. So once you've found your pen pal that you want to write to, the next difficult thing, I guess, is deciding what do you write. Especially that first letter, it can be a bit difficult because you've just got this blank page, you don't know the person, and you're kind of thinking, where do I start? So I would say, certainly when I write my first letters, I tend to just try and like introduce myself a bit. So I will talk about my family, who I live with, whether I kind of am at work or I study, and a little bit of information about that. I'll talk about any hobbies that I've got, whether that's blogging or photography or looking after my nephew. And then also I might talk about things like the last book I read, or a good film that I've seen, or a TV programme that I've been following, or if there's like any music that I really like at the moment, I will kind of talk about that. But also kind of make sure you ask questions so that the like person you're writing to has got some things like to answer. So, you know, ask them about those kind of things, you know, ask them about their family, their work, what hobbies they've got, you know, if they've got anything they've been up to lately that they want to tell you about. Just like really quite general stuff to start with, but just to give them a little bit of an idea of who you are, what you're like, and then that tends to get the conversation going, and like when you're writing backwards and forwards after that, it becomes easier. So in like your following letters, you obviously can answer the questions that the person may have asked you. I also tend to just talk about what I might have been up to since I last wrote, whether I've got any plans coming up that are particularly interesting that that person might want to know about. And again, I might talk about any favourite films or music or books or TV that I've seen, or perhaps if I'm like looking forward to, I don't know, say I'm going to be going to see Toy Story soon, I might say that and ask if they've seen it. But yeah, just kind of general chit chat really. Obviously it depends what kind of relationship you develop with your pen pal. You might get into a lot more like personal conversations, or you might just keep things quite light and, you know, chilled out and talking about like day-to-day life and your favourite things and all that kind of stuff. So it depends what you want to do, but those are just some ideas to get you started of sort of questions you can ask and things that you can talk about. And generally, once you've been writing to someone for a few kind of letters, you get into a bit of a role and you know the kind of things you like to talk about, and there's always like questions coming backwards and forwards for you to answer. So it does get easier, I think, as it goes on. And then people will also ask like, what do I send to a pen pal? And it used to be the way, I guess, that you would just send a little letter or something, but now things definitely are kind of progressing, and some people send all sorts of different things. Obviously, you know, sending a letter is still just fine, but there's so many ideas now of things you can send. So with some of my pen pals, I do little like care packages. So if I've got a pen pal that maybe lives in a different country, we will send maybe, I don't know, some sweets or some tea, or I don't know, bits and bobs that you can get in this country that perhaps you can't get in their country, and then they'll do the same. And it's really, really interesting to see like what different things you can get in different countries. So yeah, just be careful obviously about checking what you can and can't send to different places, because obviously you don't want to end up having your parcel intercepted and ripped apart and it not getting there properly. But yeah, I've really enjoyed like seeing different sweets and teas and, you know, even like little postcards and things like that from different countries that I just wouldn't see otherwise. I've been sent like stamps from different countries, which I find really interesting, and they're really nice to put in like scrapbooks and stuff. Some people will just decorate their sort of cards and letters in like really like pretty ways by using like washi tape and stickers, and or they'll do like their own drawings and things like that. Some people make really like extravagant like post things. So I've had like I've had these things where it's all like folded up in different ways and it's got little pockets and everything in it. It completely depends on what you want to do and what you can do. And to be honest, like I am more than happy just receiving a little letter or a card or something like that. So you don't have to go all out with, you know, putting loads of different stuff in and spending lots of money. But if you want to, obviously that option is there. There's some great ideas on Instagram. Again, search anything to do with pen pals or snail mail or happy mail, and you'll get pictures up of all sorts of ideas. And again, on Pinterest as well, there's some really good ideas as well. So, you know, there's a lot of scope for being creative and being different. It's just up to you what you want to do, and if you need inspiration, those are definitely good places to look. And I think that's probably all you need to know to get you started for writing your pen pal letters. I hope you've enjoyed hearing a little bit about my pen pal experience and how I've got into it, and also I really hope that some of my tips will be useful to you if you're looking into starting to write to pen pals. If you have enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more from me, please do give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the little bell as well so that you get notifications as soon as I upload. Please do leave me a comment as well. I'd love to hear, like, do you write to pen pals? Are you kind of interested in starting, and has this video kind of given you a little bit of a nudge into starting? Have you got any other questions about pen paling that I haven't answered? And also let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see me do. I am always open to suggestions and ideas, so yeah, about anything at all, do let me know. And I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!